Aloha.
Greetings.
Yeah, just checking in if you can hear us. I think you can.
Can you hear me? Hello. I'm Daniel.
And welcome to a special episode of Korean Natural Farming Office Hours Outdoor Edition.
Yep.
So, let's start off with a little bit of I Ching. But I think maybe brother Daniel here will read it for us.
I'd love to. So today's verse is called The Marrying Maiden. In relationships, desires lead to misfortune. Behave with discipline and balance. Kue Mei is concerned with the guidelines for the proper conduct of relationships, whether they be social, romantic, or work-related. The image here is of thunder rolling the surface of a lake, and it suggests that relationships can be disturbing to our peace of mind unless they are established and governed under proper principles. The nature of relationships is that they lead us into the desire state. We begin to desire another, desire recognition, desire retribution, desire a particular outcome in a given situation. All of these desires lead us away from the equanimity that we aim to maintain as students of the I Ching. The hexagram often comes as a sign that you're in danger of sacrificing your composure in an effort to affect a relationship. When someone does not treat you as you would like, you are faced with a choice as to what to do. While it may be tempting to abandon the relationship in anger or act aggressively to produce a result, neither of these is consistent with proper principles. You are counseled instead to return to inner independence, accept
So we should be back with audio, and we're fixing up the video here. So the I Ching reading here, Kui Mei relationships this week, building a whole lot of relationships here, and have a class here, and that's why Daniel's here at the Canna farm here to learn. And we've been going through, pretty much everything so far, right? It's, as fast as time will permit.
Yeah. Going through all the different recipes and just to put out an IMO collection. Started an IMO 3 propagation, made some fermented plant juices, started with our oriental herbal nutrients. And every day we've ended with a nice little group session, readings of the I Ching, and Drake has been sharing some thought-provoking questions for our group. That's been really enjoyable time, and This verse is actually perfect for our experience here because we've been building new relationships in a very fruitful and productive way. Everyone's been very kind and open to each other's perspectives.
Yeah, so we're here. We got 7 students this class, and Daniel's been living here on the island for a while. So, and you named your farm that you're working on Ishmael Farm, right?
Yep. Ishmael's forest farming is what I call my farming project. My farming journey was inspired by the book Ishmael, so I wanted to dedicate it to that idea, the concepts shared in that book. And I also don't feel like it's my farm necessarily. Like, I don't feel like the land or the food necessarily belongs to me. It's something to be shared with my brothers and sisters, and so yeah, that's why I gave it that name.
So, I was just rereading Ishmael because I know that's what you named your farm after, and I remember listening to that book as an audiobook,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about like this gorilla that informs man about his just contemplations of like captivity.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, a telepathic gorilla communicating with his human student. But yeah, a lot of the concepts are about our cultural mythologies, um, the mythology of man, how man was created to rule Earth. It does point out a lot of kind of the Christian parables of creationism, and how they kind of got lost in translation. I mean, a lot of, at least in the Western world, a lot of our culture is informed by Christian mythology. Um, Partly that is the most prominent religion, but even the way non-religious people live their lives, still kind of dominating, living beyond nature. And I find that our culture has kind of divorced itself from nature. Um, but I also believe that there are these inherent laws of nature that can't be ignored. They're very hard to define, but there is some presence of that. Like, we don't ignore the laws of physics, but we choose as mankind to ignore a lot of the laws of nature. And yeah, that's always just been a fascinating premise to me, and what our role is and what our mythology that we've created is. So,
So you named your farm after this, like because you see, like, what do you want to express with it?
what I'm what I'm looking to express, or what I'm feeling the desire to express, is to demonstrate a way to live more alongside nature, one with nature, reunited with nature. That's kind of what my life path has gone down, is to become a part of nature again, and not above it and beyond it and controlling of it. Playing my part as a steward of the earth. I believe that on a higher level, that's partly what man is here to do, is to we are one of the few beings that have this conscious mind to make decisions about what we do. And yeah, I just want to set an example of this reuniting with nature, being a steward of the earth instead of taking from it.
And you've been doing KNF since like almost
Over
a
a year.
year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
over a year now. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, and for me, KNF has been a huge inspiration. I've been into farming for a little over a year, but learning about KNF, it's like sparked a passion for me for like how I want to farm and how I want to cultivate the land.
Mm.
And ever since I learned about it, I've been putting it to practice and honing in my skills. Yeah, yeah, I like it because you don't, there's minimal outside inputs, a little bit of sugar here, a little bit of herbs that maybe I'm not growing, but for the most part, I'm taking things from the land and putting it back into the land. I'm not relying on purchasing fertilizers in a bag or a bottle and, spending outrageous amounts of money, because that's a hindrance for a lot of us. But yeah, fertilizing my plants with FPJ, using lab as a fungicide and as a protector for the plants. Um, all these things have been huge, and compared to what I've seen and even experienced with conventional farming tactics, experiencing a bit of conventional farming, I see that it's very much at war with nature. And I don't want to be at war with nature. It makes my life more difficult, and I am also, deteriorating the land in the process.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's, when I found KNF, I see that, the challenges that are arising for us in like nature, and making the food nutrient density diminishing in largely available food. You were saying it's like food like products.
Oh yeah. But, most of what most humans eat, most quote unquote civilized humans eat, is food like products, if you look at what's sold in the store. But if you look at conventional farming, it's the same thing. These chemical fertilizers, it's not natural food for these plants. It's a food like product. So we're feeding ourselves plants that didn't even receive proper nutrition themselves, and therefore are less nutritious for us.
Yeah. 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 Don't shop in the center of the grocery store.
Yeah. Yeah, if you go on a diet, they tell you just shop on the outside of the store. They're going down the aisles. And the reason for that is because the aisles are all full of junk. But that's those are staples in a lot of diets, all these processed foods that are made with, GMO products, and even if it's non-GMO, just the processed food, like your body's not used to accepting that. You're not receiving the right nutrients out of it, and they're void of nutrients, in a lot of ways. It's you're getting, like we get, like conventional farmers throw out nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, that we're just getting thrown protein, carbs, and fat, but we're missing a lot of the micronutrients.
Yeah, I'd never even contemplated that idea of that, like similar, like it's not these complete things, it's these things that we just like combined and then put out there, and it's like, oh, this is what's essential for life, when it's so nature kind of actually was closer to what's like essential for life going on.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Feel a lot of that, of just this here, people around the world finding these solutions, feeling the same liberation. And you're about to have a baby and be like, passing this on, so it's like even more like, do you feel your responsibility growing now?
Absolutely. That was the biggest wake up call. I mean, since I've been farming, I've been jumping around from farm to farm, helping out friends and whatnot. But yeah, now it's like, okay, I want to first of all have a safe, stable place for my family, but also pass down this knowledge. A lot of I've been listening to some podcasts, and a lot of conventional farmers practice such things because it's what's been passed down to them. Where I have the opportunity to pass down this knowledge of natural farming, regenerative farming, eating natural foods as opposed to processed foods, or these conventionally farmed foods that are lacking in nutrition. So yeah, there's definitely a big wake up call. But in addition to teaching my child and my family, I also want to teach anyone who's willing to listen. I definitely intend my farm to be a teaching farm as well, both online and in person, because I want to share. I've always been, in leadership roles in every job I've had and whatnot. So if I can be a leader in a way that'll benefit people's lives, benefit the planet, you know, and I'm not out there to save the planet. The planet's going to be fine with or without us. But I do want to, do my part to sustain life, sustain my life, my family's life, my community's life.
Yeah, it's like the core thing. I mean, yeah, passing that on to your kids. I mean, what could be more? I mean, for us too, it's like I feel like this transition's definitely in our lifetime. You were discussing with us with Leah last night about like the Great Simplification, the Nate Hagen's.
Yeah, I'm a little less familiar with him, but yeah, I'm not. I haven't gone to listen to him yet, but yeah,
Some like the idea is that basically like the way we're living, if you try to switch over to like other um like electric cars or things, that you kind of we have to de-energize a little bit down to this, and seeing natural farming and how you're wanting to live like off grid, and which it still requires a lot of resources. Like if you're off grid but you have solar, then it's like, oh well, those solar panels are developed from straight up like not off grid systems. So there's always like this balance in our current world, but I see natural farming fitting in a way where it's a real nice like transition technology.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't I can't necessarily say I'm going to divorce myself completely from conventional living and, um, the quote unquote real world, but what can I do to bring myself closer to the land, to bring myself more connected to nature? Um, and yeah, but I also in the back of my mind is like, what happens if the boats stop coming? What happens if, you know, I can't buy solar panels, Um, I believe that these things are, we never anticipating having a pandemic. At least I never thought I would live through a pandemic and the whole world shut down for 2 weeks. So I very much, part of me is preparing for, even if I don't have solar panels, can I still survive, by feeding myself and providing for my family at least the bare essential nutrients to eat and a roof over our head, Um, that was a big wake up call for me personally, was the pandemic and watching the food run out of the stores. And living in Hawaii, like we rely on boats to bring in a lot of food. I try and shop from local farmers as much as I can, but I do recognize, a lot of things. The Kodiak cake pancakes I buy, those are coming on a boat. I could live without pancakes, of course, but nonetheless, um,
Just barely.
yeah. um, yeah, that whole idea of like food sovereignty and not relying on the higher powers to provide you your food, even if you live on mainland or anywhere in the world, it's so heavily reliant on transportation and all that system running smoothly. And I think COVID showed us that it's a little more volatile than we all choose to acknowledge.
Right, just the interruption and like the suddenness of that, to go from like it's like we're taking just slamming on the brakes and actually even almost hitting a wall. Like that's how fast we stopped, and then world kind of shifted in a lot of ways. But I mean, you were doing this prior to that before.
No, it wasn't until COVID happened that, I got into farming. I visited a friend on Big Island, and he's living in a volcano, off grid, cultivating these little permaculture gardens and whatnot. But living without electricity, without running water. And back then in Hawaii, you had to quarantine for like 2 weeks. It was
Hmm.
strict. They were calling me every day,
Yeah, yeah.
and they were sending people to jail for violating quarantine. So I stayed put at my friend's little cabin in Volcano for 2 weeks. But yeah, it was the most happy, peaceful experience of my life. Like
Mm.
living without Wi-Fi, living without electricity, filling up a jug of water and pouring it on my head to shower, and then getting my hands in the dirt and like cultivating these garden beds and planting beans and tomatoes and pineapples and building garden beds from things that were found on the property without any outside input. Um,
Mm.
Taking, weaving sticks together and using ferns as mulch, digging soil out from the one little patch of soil that was on this property in Volcano. And then as I was living in Massachusetts at the time, and the moment I got back to Massachusetts, I knew I couldn't stay there. I wasn't sure I was coming back here, but all the signs pointed to making the move out this way. And then once I got here, I landed on a farm and been farming ever since. But yeah, COVID was definitely that wake up call of this way of life isn't sustainable for me, and it ignited a passion along with like a spiritual awakening, reading Ishmael, reading Siddhartha, reading The Alchemist. During COVID I read tons of books, and those all kind of also shifted my perspective on life and what was important.
Yeah, amazing how powerful those like experiences and you're able to see of like little like see it for what it is, and really realize like make this change. That's real admirable.
And I recognize that everybody in my project of Ishmael's Forest Farming is not to convince everybody to drop their life and go move to the mountains and live off grid, but do what you can, with what you have. So many people, are growing grass and like have all these lawns where you could be plant a fruit tree, plant an avocado tree, build a little garden bed, and use these KNF inputs to feed your plants. And even if you don't fully divorce yourself from the grocery store, like even if you make your family a kale salad once a week from your garden, that's really cool. Or to plant an avocado tree that'll feed your family for a whole generation. I think I want to encourage people to do that, because we all have the resources. It's just the knowledge and the desire and seeing the value in it.
So I did a project in 2011, like Occupy Wallstreet time, where I saw a bunch of people protesting and just like, and thought, well, our energy here would be better spent planting food in the ground and letting the food occupy for us. And so I had permission, and we planted downtown Bayfront. And so using like our public spaces, like around here, like a lot of people will say, oh, I want the county not to use Roundup at the park. But then who's at the park, like keeping it up and beautifying it and making it happen? And like if we engage more in our community instead of thinking like, oh, the county should do this, like it's like as community, it's like our park, and then all of a sudden there's not Roundup there because it's so beautiful and so well maintained by us that there's no need for Roundup. Roundup would only make it like more ugly. Versus, if there's weeds everywhere, people, they want to keep those spaces nice and clean, right? And that's, people cultivating. And when you mention it of people with, sometimes I hear from people like, oh, I don't have land. But then how many people have yards that you could say, hey, I'm going to try and get most of the people on this block to say I can farm this area, give them some food. All of a sudden now I got, a huge, quarter acre, I'm just farming people's yards around, and everyone benefits, and those people then get food and you can teach them. And right there, you're like urban farming just by like making friends with a few neighbors.
Yeah, exactly. And once you see your neighbor do it, you're like, oh, I could do it too, And then you guys can trade veggies, and that's the other thing that drew me to Big Island is there's a lot of, trade amongst the community for, I have mangoes, you have bananas, like bring over my mangoes, share your bananas. And that's such a more beautiful way to exchange and receive your food than having to slave away at a desk to earn your credits to take them to the store where all the food's locked up.
Yeah, it's kind of like a indirect lifestyle versus like you're going more direct to be like, cut out the middleman, man.
Yeah, even doing what you can with your yard. I saw on the internet a video. I grew up in Orlando, Florida, which is my youth, and
Mm.
recently I saw a video. A man in Orlando built an urban garden on his property, and he sustained himself for 1 year
Mm.
off his like quarter acre of land that he just built. You know, food for a mini food forest on that. It looks like a big mess of weeds. You know, when you drive by it, you know the homeowners association wasn't stoked about it, but you know, it was a plot of land filled with food.
Well, that's the thing though. Like, why is our homeowner association like not stoked with, like this is like, as we engage more, like who are those people and where does their food come from? Like that's the kind of questions we gotta ask when we're like electing people to be like a homeowner associate or like a representative on any level. Is like, hey, do you understand this system? Because like, why would they be upset? They could be like, oh, yeah, that's his jam, he's doing this, like we're kind of actually proud of him.
I understand it, you know, in a lot of these communities, the homeowners associations actually prohibit people from planting fruit trees in their yards. And I think part of it, I mean, especially if your whole yard is a garden and it looks like a big mess, it's like from a beautification standpoint, you know, they want everything to look uniform and look how they want it. And I mean, yeah, these people are usually elected to their positions or earn their titles, but it's a cultural norm, you know, where these organizations are set to maintain order in the community, but in a huge way, it's hindering people from potentially providing for themselves.
Yeah. Well, I see that, but then I also see like a lot of other changes. Like if you go to Target, for instance, like the advertisements on the walls are changing to like different body types, whereas before it was all like skinny, like certain like like almost like a Barbie figure, and now it's more like normal people, right? Like it's not like this super high ideal. And so like as we're shifting our consciousness this way of like, it's just like we're people, and then also shifting towards like, why is it still weedy and like bad, right? Like these same other like all our like almost normalizing more of these things, because this ideal that we have is as unhealthy as like not to say any Barbie looking people are unhealthy, but for everybody to aspire to that is unhealthy for us, because not everyone's that has those things, right? And so it's like for our yards too, it's like we have this like kind of unhealthy for everyone to have like this like Barbie yard, right? So we're shifting. Like I notice like the mass culture is like it's shifting on that spectrum. So also this shift here, like maybe we're at a critical point where people are like ready for like the new sexy is like the permaculture yard.
Yeah.
Where it's like all, as a man, all the ladies are like, oh, Daniel, because and then you're looking at and the ladies you're valuing are like they're in the permaculture too, and you're like, ooh, my partner, I don't know her name, but that becomes our new sexy, our new like thing we're putting into our consciousness is like this, what's beautiful, like we're opening our range of beauty here in America, at least at Target. Right, where's Target's muddy or messy permaculture above their vegetable section, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the new trend. We should hit up Target's leadership and be like,
yeah, no, and that's what I hope for is this cultural shift, because culture is shifting. It's hard to tell in what direction, especially when you watch the news and stuff, which I don't very often. But yeah, that's my biggest inspiration to do this project and to work with you and learn from you, and is to practice what I preach, and I have this vision, and to demonstrate that I haven't been doing it very long. I found this on my own. Nobody said, hey, you should try this out, but like, it's possible for anyone to pick it up and run with it. And having these conversations is important to further along our culture and empower this movement.
Well, and you as a young guy, man, like I think you're starting to live like an attractive lifestyle of what you're doing. So more people will pay attention and be like, "Oh yeah, what's he doing?" Yeah. Like look how good he's feeling, you know? You're mentioning like your whole like self is more in a better space now, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I've never had such joy in my life, and I went through a phase here on Big Island where I was straight up broke for 3 months. I didn't have a dollar to my name, but I was living in the forest, farming the land, and I I've had no complaints. I was supremely happy. I was blessed that friends helped me fill up my gas tank here and there so I can get around. But I didn't have money to go out to downtown, have beers and listen to music, or like, I don't. I'm a pretty simple guy. That's at that time that was my only exciting adventure that I could really spending money on. But yeah, to live with essentially, the main resource that most of us depend on, and but to be reconnected with the land, to be able to feed myself and cultivate food and fruit, like walking around the forest and harvesting like 12 lubicoi a day, passion fruit, mangoes and all this stuff, and like just to be in the forest. And it was such a unique experience because some of the most depressed times of my life were when I was broke. So it was such a breakthrough to like live without money for a few months and then but have this joy.
You'll own nothing, but you'll be happy.
In a different sense.
Yeah, yeah, maybe that is the breakthrough. Maybe that is the great reset. I mean, you reset yourself this way, and now like see this, and I don't know. So I go through some dark times too, but when like this class is happening, and there's 7 people that are just like tuned in, and I know that what we're doing here is going to like stick with everybody, and that they're like, you'll be a different person to go back to like understand solutions for these things and spreading it. So it brings me a lot of hope during this time of like and upliftment to be here teaching, especially everyone that's really wanting it. And I was just at HFUU convention, and just to be around people that are like uplifted, and I was seeing how much the Korean natural farming had changed that landscape on Maui. They had a 200 pig no smell pig pen, and they were using KNF and like a lot of their different practices there, like on their different plants from all kinds of things. So understanding like yeah, like doing the work, but then also sharing it also has a lot of joy. And then to see like here on this office hours, who's here? Got Mitchell. What's up, Mitchell? Horace, how is it? Have faith. Cecily, the Goof Man. Hey, the Goof Man's awesome, by the way. He helped me clean up KNF support the other day. Jake Bass. So all these people, and Tom Hato, holy makahiki ho. So all these folks tuning in, and then I asked the class the other day, I was like, who's listening to Office Hour? And like most people raise their hand, right? Yeah. And so seeing this grow like this also gives me hope, like doing this, seeing this.
Absolutely. Yeah, this course this week has been really inspiring to meet people from all around the world. There's people here from Nova Scotia, Brazil, Louisiana, in fact, the majority of people are from off island, which I think is really cool. And then also tuning into office hours in the past, and seeing people from all over the world. It's really cool to see this community flourishing and growing, and the diversity and how it's out there. And it is growing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's hopeful. It's good. I mean, it's like Yeah, you know the Ishmael, like my recollection of that is this one scene where a train's flying off a cliff, and the people inside are like, "Oh, it's so peaceful. Oh, it's so great," because they can't really see outside to realize they derailed and they're barreling down a cliff. And then I feel like to a degree we're like just waking up to be like, oh, this part of our lives with monetary system, everything coming up, it's just like learning the basics, which I consider Korean natural farming pretty basic, but it's something that's been forgotten, right? If I always shop at the grocery store, like I don't even think, but like the basics.
Yeah.
Cool.
We have some class members arriving from working with.
Yeah, so yeah, there's the video's cut. I don't know what happened to the camera, but I tried to bring it out here. But you guys, why don't you grab a chair and just we can jump in here.
Is there anything I can do to
You can try and fix the camera. It's this here. But yeah, so sitting here with me right now, we got Pedro. Yeah, you're coming in from.
So I'm from Brazil. I tried to come here two years ago, and I wasn't able to because of the pandemic. And I'm a farmer in Brazil. I research agroforestry and syntropic farming. Basically, we plant, the first placentas are corn, beans, cassava, and that along with fruit trees. And nowadays we're focusing more on medicinal plants for essential oil extraction. So part of the reason I'm starting KNF is to increase medicinal content of these medicinal plants so we have better essential oils. Yeah, heal the soil. Our land is very degraded, so it was a pasture before, and heavy rains, now it's just pure sand. So yeah.
So your solutions here, like your reason for being here, your solutions you want to bring back, like what do you want to see happen in Brazil?
So I want the land to thrive and get this knowledge for people, like translate the knowledge and teach this back in Brazil, so people are more resilient and have more tools to work. Yeah, far away from the chemistry industry.
And are there other folks there that are kind of on board with your ideology, the way you're doing things?
Yeah, so a lot of cannabis growers are starting to research and go into KNF, but also people in the agroforestry are starting to tune into it. So yeah, it's gonna be a revolution. Yeah. Yeah, agroforestry is already a very complex science, and it's like from the soil above, and KNF goes right into from the soil below, right? So I think it's the perfect marriage.
Right. Those concepts coming together and people getting this critical understanding of really how to bring the earth to life.
Yeah, agroforestry, it tries to focus in on the soil microbiology in a different way. So it's like you start covering the soil and mulch it, and these microorganisms are already gonna be there, right? But I think KNF brings a lot of diversity and just the potency of medicine from plants, and I think it tunes it with just up, a lot of notches. Yeah, I think it's it's good to be.
Yeah, so we're also sitting here with Ben, and he's based right now out of the American Southwest, that area, and represents our desert man.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, all around the world. KNF gurus. Yes, I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, trying to take this Korean natural farming to back there to, I have a little house, little slice of land.
Ice cream cone. There you go. Yeah. Ice cream cone. It's all
New to the office hours. I'm a viewer, first time, experiencer. But yeah, just trying to, obviously the desert's very dry, trying to get the soil to stay and hold moisture and figure out ways to best suit that. And then obviously me being personally, I'm a cancer survivor and grow cannabis and trying to find the best possible organic way to grow the best medicine I can. And then this is great because we're not healing, we're using the earth to heal the earth in a sense. So instead of us trying to manufacture ways to heal the earth, we're using the earth in itself to heal itself. So rock on.
Rock on.
So, does anybody have any questions for me about the desert Southwest? Awesome. Thank you for the super chat.
Well, so so you guys two both interested in using or have people that use the canna for that cannabis. What have you guys seen change in that realm?
So yeah, I think people are starting to realize the terpene content goes up and flowers like smell so much better. They're more denser and it's really easier to control pests and everything when you have a living soil that is thriving, right? And yeah, I came into contact with KNF because a friend of mine lives in Italy. She's a cannabis grower, and she would like post pictures of her cannabis plants. I'm like, dude, what do you do with your plants? They're like, I have never seen like such healthy plants. Oh yeah, this is Korean natural farming. You should check into that. And I'm like, what? I've never heard of this. It's like permaculture, biochar, composting, like this whole sets of concepts, but I've never heard of KNF. And yeah, when I started looking into it, I was like, this is it, man. I have to do this. So I started making solutions and yeah, getting everybody to make solutions. Like all my friends, they're like initiated natural farmers as well. Yeah.
It makes so it really makes a difference, right? I mean, like it's sort of top shelf in a certain sense. Hey, you got it back. Video, hey, now. So Pedro, raise your hand. Pedro, right?
Brittany, get in here.
Yeah. Pedro, Dan, Brittany, and so let's. Yeah. So, have you also grown cannabis with natural farming?
Yes, I'm working. So are we going into?
Well, it just like yeah. So I mean, you're here.
What brought me here?
Yeah. Well, what solution do you have to offer with what you're doing here?
So for me, it's more of once I found KNF. It was the first time after traveling for years and years studying permaculture and sustainable practices and always hearing the phrase, well, it depends, and it depends. And it can be a bit intimidating, that phrase, for people who are trying to come into this new space that they're curious about, especially with the state of the world that we're in. I started working with an agronomist out in California who was the head agronomist for California Hemp Association. And he was making all these wild ferments. And I was like, what's going on here? You know, and we were making them on large scale. Come to the end of it, I was tried to put into contracts, these weird contracts, and I'm like, no, this doesn't settle with me. I was trying to study under him, and the formulations were never the same. And so then I started researching myself, and it led me to KNF, and I started going crazy over it and talking about it. My wife was like, we have to get you to a class. You need to go to a class. This is your jam, because it's like the first time out of all these years that I was starting to feel hope in my heart. Not only on what can we do for the planet and for our own personal plants, but what does that do for the people? And understanding that, in California, I had a microgreens business, and my focus was to actually start to put out high nutritional profile foods that people can take in, that were easy to grow, that wasn't really deterring for them. They can flip a crop in 10 days, but also to understand that nutritional profile and the bioavailability of what it is that they were getting. But then on the next level of like, what is that doing to the microbiome? And what is our microbiome doing to the brain? And on that level, to see the concepts in KNF be able to be applied on that human health level as well, I feel like on all organism sides, we can just all evolve through this methodology, which my motto on my business, my slogan was nurture through nature, because out of traveling and going to all these farms and meeting all these people, you really start to understand that by going back to nature is when you actually start to nurture the body and the mind, which then gets us to inspire other people, right? Because we start to walk differently on this planet. And somebody's like, "Ooh, what's so shiny about you?" And that curiosity is what brings people in, right? When we can show them something, or they experience something different that they've never felt before, they start to ask questions. And it's like, dude, come over, let's make some inputs. Let's stick our feet in some soil and like breaking down those concepts, right? So I'm excited to be able to, after being years in California, going back to my home base in Louisiana, being south of I-10 in a space that they call Cancer Alley, to be able to come back and bring some of these concepts on both the farming side, but also with the people that I love, and really start to see those evolutionary shifts in the people and in the plants, So I'm just stoked for the future, man. I'm really so hopeful, and really this concept of like all aspects of it is bringing in this love, and through the disconnection of all the commercialization that we've seen, I really feel like that's what we're lacking the most, is this connection, this love, right? And when we can really start to jam in and see the hope for our future, it creates a different social setting. We start to interact differently, but also the microbes under our feet are interacting differently, and above, so yeah, I'm just really looking forward to the future. Yeah.
So here, our experiences so far, we've been going through some of the solutions. What's, maybe to share with folks, what's been your favorite part about being here so far?
Everything. Making IMO 3, and with your mom today in the morning making a KNF food was awesome. You realize stuff like, oh, I've been using too much sugar in my foods. I don't have to waste that much sugar, And this hands-on experience is what I think is like tune the nuances, as you say, and it's all about the nuances, right? That's success. So and your farm is like so special to see the plants thriving here. Yeah, it's been a great experience. We started orchard yesterday, medicine, and we started lactobacillus protectors. If you haven't come out here, come out here.
So yeah, for me, I mean, obviously, I don't know if you can see, but the view is spectacular. Sunrises are like amazing. So, but yeah, just getting that hands-on experience. Like if we were in a classroom, I don't think everything would sit in or sink in as well. But getting some on-farm experience where we've made few mistakes and we're able to kind of see our mistakes and then work through those and not being like, so when we go back ourselves, we're not stuck without, oh crap, we don't have this or that. And so yeah, just getting that on your hands dirty, and we set off, you know, the IMO piles, and yeah, just you're not just learning the theory and the way that you're actually getting, you know, sightseeing ways to apply these and applicable ways that they, you know, you could take back to your environment and put to use.
Yeah, so as far as my experience has been here, I mean, of course, we're in paradise, baby. But on top of that is to really see how he's been applying it to the land and how those things have been shifting the dynamics in his ecosystem. You know, walking up to the barn this morning to flip the IMO and seeing the difference between your neighbor's pasture and yours. You know, it's just, you could see the visual difference, and I think that's something that sticks with us forever. We could talk about moving our cattle around to different paddocks, right, and really putting in that grazing, but what is it doing? And to actually see a side by side of what's happening, of those natives coming back in and really supporting that system, and also building a better system for your animals as well, right? Giving them better things to make their systems healthier. In return, closing that loop and giving you something back in return as well. So it's this beautiful in-life picture of this give and take that's happening. And massive growths. And though we're all coming from different regions, like, you know, Ben here's coming from the desert, and even just getting to learn about the little techniques that he can do to still put out these different products is just amazing. Our inputs, you know, not really a product, it's more of an input, you know.
And on the animal, a note on the animal raising, it's amazing to see how you can actually have pig pens and chicken pens with zero smell.
No smell.
It's like I've heard of this before, and it's like, oh, but there must be a little smell, and it's like no smell at all. You actually smell like a good forest floor, and it's
And
yeah,
if you
it's
come,
a good
don't
environment to
pet
be
the
there.
pigs with sugary hands.
Don't pet the pigs with sugar in your hands.
So, what is, how do you see it from here? See when you get back home.
And say hello to the people.
Yeah,
You're new to this,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
say hello.
Am I even on the camera? No.
Look at you.
Hello, my name is Leah. So how do I see KNF growing, and how do I want to take it back with me?
Yeah, well, you're just like your solution, basically. You know, like in a way, like what do you? Let's see. I'm gonna set it there. If that's okay.
Oh,
We got you now.
yeah. I feel so blessed to be here and to get to experience all of this through Drake's tutelage. and I feel really excited to bring it back. I'm from California, and I'm gonna take it back, and we're building a permaculture, pick your own food forest, and flower farm. So we'll be using it there, and hopefully teaching others about what we're doing. And so yeah, I want to take it back and bring it to California. I'm sure it's there already, but also building some California community around it. So if anyone's out there in California and you want to hang out, that would be fun around the Bay Area.
You have something, or no, when you're done. But so we've been here for only like 3 days, but I can say we found a lifelong family to last, like literally all these people I'll keep in contact with for the rest of my life probably. So, and only known them for 3 days, so that's awesome. So
Yeah, I mean, we've been just discussing a little bit, just like how hopeful this is, and just like nice to see that other people are on the same mission as you, like we're not alone in the world. So I just appreciate you guys.
Yeah, that was one of the big reasons why I wanted to come here, is to get some mentorship and to find community around it. And I feel like having other people around to mirror back your passions can make it so much easier to feel like your passions are valid, and feel excited to keep going forward, and doing it with other people makes it so much more fun.
So we got 3 more minutes left with the office hour time. We got a little bit here.
Just want to say thank you to Drake and to everybody who tuned in today. Thank you to the KNF community, and to Drake for fostering it and bringing us all together. Yeah, it's an honor to share this space with you guys, and to be a part of this community, and to tune in on Sundays and get to talk story about these things. And I just want to express my gratitude to the KNF fam, and to the farm fam here during the course. And yeah, I look forward to continue sharing this journey with you all. And that's it.
is there some of the regulars on there? I know Portita is like one of the regulars. Some of the other. I see any names I recognize.
The goof man,
Yeah, the goof man shows up every Sunday.
Yeah. Who wants to say hi? Go. Oh, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. We're gonna turn this
Mahalo.
pretty soon.
Aloha.
Anything last 30 seconds to say, but
Get your butts out here.
Today we're gonna learn about what
So we've already turned our IMO pile this morning, which is awesome. It's heating up. So
schedule.
and
Structure. We're gonna do some structure, the reproduction formula. We're gonna make liquid IMO. Disgustingly cheap microbes. Ugh. And then close up with our teacher training.
Cool. Awesome. And you guys can keep saying bye. I gotta actually do some work to turn it off.
Bye.
Okay, you ready?
Bye.